If you're shopping for a boat for bass fishing, it used to be you had two distinct choices. You had fiberglass boats for the tournament guys or hardcore anglers, and then you had the aluminum boats for everybody else or for those on a budget. But the lines between these two have been blurring in recent years as modern aluminum fishing boats are taking on both the look and performance of fiberglass. And we're going to see one such example of that today. In this video, I'm going to do a walkthrough of the brand new Tracker Savage 215, and I'm going to give you my thoughts along the way. And towards the end of the video, I'm going to share with you different configuration options and some considerations along those lines in case you're thinking about buying one. And I'll also share with you some insider information about Tracker ModVs in general. This is information that is not available to the general public, so you'll want to stick around for that. Hi, Jerry Mona with Boater Input. I'm at the 2025 Houston Boat Show, and I am standing in front of the brand new Tracker 215 Savage. I am really excited about this particular boat. Let me tell you why. The first thing you will notice if you take a look at it is that it looks very much like a fiberglass boat. In fact, unless you got up close to it, you would think it's a fiberglass boat. So one of the things you'll notice is there's just not that choppiness that you normally see in a ModV fishing boat. You don't see those square boxy edges. It's got that one continuous piece of bent aluminum from front to back. And if you come around to the back side, you can see how it just wraps really nicely. It curves just like you would see in a fiberglass boat, which is really cool. And then this will be hard to tell, but you actually have a continuous dead rise. And so if you're looking down here, you can see that there's a little bit of a V all the way along the back side, back of the transom. And of course, it continues to have a V all the way up the front. So what that's going to do, unlike a lot of ModV fishing boats that have or like really flat in the rear, that little V is going to give you a better ride in rougher water. So now what I want to do is just climb on board and take you on a tour of the inside. So the first thing you'll notice is the deck area is just absolutely massive. I think it says the beam is 7'11", but it actually looks a lot bigger than that. It's really large. And then you've got all kinds of storage spots. You know, us anglers can never have enough equipment. And so you've got these side rod lockers that you can put stuff in up here. And it's got these tubes, so you can kind of keep that all nice and organized. Very nice. So that can hold, I'd say, you know, at least 10 rods, and it's going to take, you know, any length of rod that you can handle. And over here, you've got another rod locker as well. So same kind of situation. But then on top of that, you have this middle storage area where you can, again, put in more rods if that's your inclination, or you could put your Plano tackle storage boxes in here. And that's what I would recommend. That's what I would do, because whenever I go fishing, I always load up my deck with my fishing rods, and so I want an area that I can get into without displacing my rods to change my lure or whatever I need to do. Then you've got this large kind of a cooler area that you can use as well. And then back here, you got a little spot for personal items, cell phone, wallets, that kind of thing. Of course, here's your seats. They're very plush, very thick, comfortable. And then you've got your live well over here, like you'd expect. And you've got the little divider in there that you can remove if you wish. And then you've got extra storage on either side, okay? So that's what it comes with. And another thing I want to point out about this particular boat is that it is entirely made out of aluminum. There is no wood whatsoever on the boat. And that's not just the hull, but that's the deck too. So this deck is all aluminum as well. And that's the first time that Tracker has built a boat like that. In fact, talking to the engineer, this is the most researched, most tested boat in Tracker's history. So they spent a lot of time making sure they got this boat right. And I got to say, I for one believe that they've done a good job. It just looks fantastic, and I actually would love to have one. So you got a pretty good back deck here. You got plenty of room for a co-angler. So you got plenty of room to walk around. And again, you got the step up to the bow. So now the electronics that come with this boat are pretty standard the way this base package comes. But what I think most people would do, and what I would recommend, is they've got the Big Catch 1, Big Catch 2 package. that you can get with the boat. So for about $5,000 to $5,400, you could add a 9-inch screen in the console, 9-inch screen at the bow with live scope. You can get an Ultrex trolling motor for, like I said, about $5,400 extra. So that's what I would, and a 36-volt trolling motor. So that's what I would recommend doing with this package. Now, I left the best news for last because one of the big advantages of this particular boat is the price point. Okay, so you've got a lot of the look and the functionality of a fiberglass boat, but this boat packaged with a 200 horsepower engine is about $50,000, excluding tax, prep, and freight. And then if you upgrade the electronics package, like I recommend, that'll be about $5,000 to $5,400 extra. So for around $56,000 or less, you can get yourself into a fantastic tournament-ready package. So that's very exciting, especially nowadays when fiberglass bass boats are often going for $80,000, $90,000, $100,000. So that's really exciting. That's why I really love this boat. I think they're going to do a great job. Want something that's a little bit more affordable, then you should definitely check out the Tracker 215 Savage.
Okay, so now what I'd like to do is show you some configuration options for the Tracker Savage 215. So the first thing you want to do is go to the trackerboats.com website. And once you're there, click on the Boats tab. And then down at the bottom, click on New Savage 215. And when you get there and you scroll down, the first thing I want to point out is you'll see that here is the boat right here. And the standard boat comes with carpeting like you see in this picture. The one that I walked through at the 2025 Houston Boat Show was a prototype boat that had a sea deck-like material that was really nice along the decks, but that version is not available quite yet on their website. So just to know that the standard boat comes with carpeting. Next, you want to click on Build Your Own. And then what you'll see, the first thing that'll come up is you'll see several different motor options, ranging from a 150L Pro XS to a 250L Pro XS with Torque Master. Now the L represents the shaft length. And the first thing we could do is kind of simplify this, because these first two options, I believe, are not really good, viable options. You can see here the 175 gets you an estimated top speed of 52 to 54 miles per hour. And I think for most people, this is going to be underpowered. So I would not recommend either of these two choices. And so really you're kind of left with this 200L Pro XS or this 225 or 250. I think the 200, I'll talk more about these three engines a little bit later, but the 200L Pro XS is probably fine if you're a recreational angler. If you're a tournament guy and you want some more performance, then you may want to step up to 225 or 250. And the other thing nice about these is it's got this Torque Master gear case, which, let's say you want to use a jack plate or something like that. The Torque Master gear case is a little bit beefier gear case and can handle kind of a semi-surfacing application. So that's something to consider. Next you want to do is click on color, and there's three different choices there. It's of course your personal preference. It doesn't affect the cost, so let's move on to options. And the first thing I want to point out is, and this is something that I'm not crazy about what Tracker does here, is that if you don't pick any of these electronics packages, either Big Catch 1 or Big Catch 2 down here, the standard boat comes with a Lowrance Eagle 7 fish finder with the split shot transducer. Now, the problem with that is twofold. One, it's only a 7-inch screen, which to me is just marginally acceptable. And then the second is it's got a split shot transducer, which means it doesn't have the side scan capability, which I view as wholly inadequate for any kind of a serious bass angler. So that's not very good. The other thing it comes with too, standard, is a Minn Kota Maxim 24-volt 70 horsepower thrust. And there's two problems with that. One, the 70 horsepower thrust may be a little bit on the light side, especially if you're on a bigger body of water, or if you're going for a long period of time, or you're dealing with some wind, so that may not be quite as much power as you'd like. And the second thing is the Maxim does not have the spot lock feature. If you're aware of spot lock, that is really a game changer. And so I think it's one of those things, one of those features that nowadays it's something you really should have. So that's why the standard electronics package is not an option. So then you really, in one, it is an option in one situation, and that is if you don't want either of these packages, then you may go with the standard package, rip it all out, and replace it with your own stuff. But otherwise, you've got these two packages, Big Catch 1 and Big Catch 2, and they both come with this Garmin EchoMat ultra high definition 93 SV. So that's a 9-inch screen. SV stands for side view fish finder. Now the one in the bow has a live scope, and then the one in the console, of course, does not, but they're both Garmin 9-inch screens. And that's true for Big Catch 1 and Big Catch 2. So your fish finders are exactly the same. The difference between these two packages is that they both come with the Minn Kota Ultrix trolling motor, but the Big Catch 1 comes with the 24-volt, 80 pounds of thrust system, whereas the Big Catch 2 comes with the 36-volt, 112-pound thrust system. So again, if you're a tournament guy, bigger bodies of water, deal with a lot of wind, again, you may want to opt for that, the Big Catch 2 instead. In terms of the battery, they have a couple of lithium battery options. They've got an option for a lithium cranking battery as well as for a trolling motor battery. I'm less crazy about the advantages of lithium for a cranking battery, but for trolling motor, it actually would be pretty nice to have. Now, one thing I don't understand is you can see that the upcharge for the exchange is $925, but that does not vary depending on whether you pick Big Catch 1 or Big Catch 2. Yet Big Catch 2 has 3 trolling motor batteries, whereas Big Catch 1 has just 2. So I'm not sure why that doesn't change. But anyway, you do have an option to upgrade your trolling motor batteries to a lithium. Now, I've done a couple of videos on the advantages and disadvantages of lithium batteries, along with whether buying a lithium battery makes financial sense given how much you use your boat and taking into account the extra longevity with lithium. And so I'll include a link to each of those videos in the video description. In terms of performance and steering, you've got a few different options here. It's kind of a personal preference. I don't have a strong opinion on that. In terms of functional, one of the first things you'll see is you've got a removable port console. So the one in this picture here is showing a port console over here. It does not come standard with that, but if you go out with a co-angler a lot, you may want to consider that. This center seat storage, you can't really see it here. There's a little area up here. What I'm not clear about is if you don't check that, what goes in that place. I'm not sure about that. Again, if you're a tournament guy or a very avid angler, you've got a couple of hydraulic jack plate options, which would be nice, and same with the power poles. You can get a single or a dual power pole as well. And then if you are someone who keeps your boat outside or you're traveling, maybe keeping your boat outside overnight, then you'll definitely want to have a cover. And so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to walk you through the total cost ramifications of some of those package alternatives that we just discussed. And I'm going to start off looking at the price with the 200L Pro XS. Now, according to the Tracker website, that can achieve 61 to 64 miles per hour. And the base price of the boat with that engine is about $50,000. Then if you add that Big Catch 2 package that I mentioned, which comes with the 2 9-inch screen and the Minn Kota Ultrix 36-volt system, it adds another $54.45. And then everything else I just kind of left standard, other than I added in a cover at $725. And so your total package price comes out to $57,740. Now, if we step up and we go to the Mercury 225, the base price is $52,805. They didn't specify a speed on the website. I'm guessing it's going to be 65 to 68 miles an hour, but it's a little bit higher base price. And then altogether, again, keeping everything else the same, the total cost is about $3,000 more than the package with the 200. And then if you go all the way up to the Mercury 250, again, with the TorqueMaster gear case, this could achieve 68 to 73 miles per hour. And this is the largest engine that this boat is rated for, 250 horsepower. And again, keeping everything else the same, the total price with that package is only a little over $1,000 more than the 225. So my suggestion would be, if you're a recreational angler, then the package with this 200 horsepower engine is probably adequate. If you're not beating someone to the hole and you don't need to go terribly fast, this is probably perfectly suitable, and that's about $58,000 package. On the other hand, if you're a tournament angler and performance is critical, then I would suggest stepping all the way up to the 250. It's not that much more than the 225, and so you'll have the maximum performance. Now, one of the key reasons to consider an aluminum bass boat as opposed to fiberglass is because of the cost savings. And to show you that, I'm going to compare the Tracker Savage 215 to a comparable fiberglass boat. So in this case, it's the Nitro Z21 XL. So as you can see, both boats are about the same in length, just a little bit over 21 feet. The beam is the same at 7 foot 11 inches. The Nitro fiberglass boat has a little bit greater dead rise, which will give you a smoother ride in rough water. The fiberglass boat's a little bit heavier, not too much, but 200 pounds heavier, and is rated for a higher engine. It can go up to 300 horsepower as opposed to 250. The Nitro also has a bigger gas tank at 60 gallons as opposed to 40. Now let's take a look at the pricing. So here's the package pricing of the Tracker Savage 215 with the Mercury 250 Torque Master that we just went through. And again, I put the electronics on there from the Big Catch 2 package and added a custom cover, and the price for that comes out to about $62,000. And if you compare that to the Nitro, again with an equivalent engine, the 250, the same engine, the 250 Mercury Torque Master, and then I added the same trolling motor and the same bow fish finder. Now the one at the console they didn't offer this same Garmin ultra high definition 93 SV, but the closest they had was a 106 SV. So that's, a 10-inch screen as opposed to a 9. So, but pretty close. It's a little bit bigger unit. Again, another custom cover. And you can see the price for that comes out to around $76,000. So the difference is about $14,000 aluminum versus fiberglass. So, with that savings, you could put more money into some nicer grade electronics and have a really good package. So, if you want to save a little bit of money, then going with an aluminum boat like a Tracker Savage may be a good choice for you.
Before we go, I want to give you a bit of an insider scoop on Tracker ModV boats. And this is information that's not publicly available, but I have a long history with the Tracker brand, which I'll explain in just a moment. When people think of Tracker ModVs, they generally associate them with being affordable boats, but some people also think of them as low quality or cheap. But I can tell you in my experience, they actually are a pretty well built boat, and the customers who buy them are, by and large, very satisfied. And the reason why I know this is that my company managed the customer satisfaction survey program for all the Bass Pro Shop brands for 17 years, up until 2020. And towards the end of that time, Tracker ModVs generally scored in the 9 to 9.5 range out of 10, which is quite good. It varied a little bit by model, but they were all pretty much in that range. Now, what is true is that Trackers often are not equipped with some of the fancier features of some of the other brands, and they will often install a lower grade electronics than what I would like to see. Just to give you an example, in 2019, I purchased a Tracker 195 Protein 195 TXW. And I wouldn't have done so had I thought it was a low quality product, but I knew better because, again, I was managing the customer satisfaction survey at that time. But what is true is I have had to replace some of my electronics to be up to par with the caliber of fishing that I do. So if you are thinking about buying a Tracker, just rest assured that the product should be well built and should hold up for you over time. But if you're fairly serious about your fishing, you may need to upgrade some of your electronics. Well, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, do me a great big favor and click on that like button. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel to get my latest tips and insights to help you purchase, equip, and maintain your boat. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and I will see you out on the water.